Yeah.
It goes, so what happens is we go to the governor and tell them, okay, fine, money is late, at least pay this one thing as we wait for the other monies to come. So
All right.
it's never a case that we
So
have
that
a lot of
one
money.
thing is your salo. I'm just
Okay,
asking for
so,
friends.
So that one never
allowed.
gets.
Resources have to follow function, but that's not always the case. And take to the case you've just brought up, health. Healthcare is a fully devolved function, supposed to be a fully devolved function, apart from, say, facilities that are under national government. And the facilities that are under national government are referral hospitals only. Healthcare is one of the most expensive agenda item, budget item in our country, at around 146.7, almost 150 billion
Yeah.
in national government. So you wonder, what are you doing with 150 billion of national money if that function is devolved?
So let me ask a question. Now, before devolution came into place, what was the budget? And I'm not asking for specific numbers, but like you said, if most of the functions were devolved, let's assume that 140 billion, hypothetically speaking,
Yes.
Is the total budget for health in the country
Yes.
Before devolution.
Yes.
So majority of the functions
Yes.
have been taken down to the counties.
Correct.
Yeah, including paying of staff.
Yes.
So out of that 140 billion,
Yes.
like what percentage now is supposed to go if they're legit pushing, if legit resource is following function?
Well,
what proportion of that, and what is actually going, and what proportion is supposed to go?
Okay. I think to answer that correctly, you have to look at how much money goes into counties in general for county functions.
Okay.
Right? So, for example, Kiambu gets on average about 18 billion from the exchequer.
Yeah,
right?
total.
Yes, total.
Yeah.
Now, for our budget. So now, out of that, our biggest item in that budget is what? Yes, healthcare.
Okay.
We spend over 50% of that money
on healthcare.
Yes. And note, we are paying salaries for doctors, nurses who were under national government before.
Yeah.
And they signed a collective bargaining agreement
with the national
government.
Yeah.
But we are the ones who pay for it.
Okay.
And we have approximately 80% of all the facilities from level 5 hospitals all the way down to dispensaries under county government. Yet, we only get 18 billion, which half of it, more than half, almost 60% goes to healthcare.
Okay.
Can you see the disparity now? This is the frustration. This is the real frustration we have with devolution, because not all money has followed the function of health and other resources.
Okay.
And it's not just health. We have other functions that are really frustrating, because you say you've devolved, but there's no resources that follow. Government still wants to keep these functions to themselves. Why, I don't know. But
are they keeping the functions or the money?
The money. Okay.
Yeah. Here's a. I guess maybe it's a good moment for education. By law, the county governments are supposed to receive what they're supposed to receive by law. I guess it's in the constitution. So if there is whatever the percentage is.
Yeah. So to be clear.
Yes.
So the constitution is a bit wide open on this. The constitution dictates a minimum.
Yes.
A certain minimum amount.
Yes.
Which I think the government sometimes takes advantage
the
of
executive.
that. And then, also, so the minimum was just a baseline, but there's supposed to be a costing for all the functions that counties took. Yes. And based on that costing, that's the amount. Just because the minimum is 15% does not mean 50% cannot go to the counties.
Absolutely.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, it just means that that's just the base minimum.
So, still, base minimum per law.
Yeah.
But you find, and this was something that was being brought up, you find that it's like the executive has captured. It's like they are forcing, or they're forcing the hand of governors to come to State House to beg for something that they're supposed to
That they're
receive. It's like
entitled
it's
to.
like how we are entitled to go, when you go to apply for your birth certificate or your Kenyan ID, you're entitled to have it,
Yeah.
right? But you have to find a way or find somebody
To bribe.
to pay. So it's like the governors, they were complaining and saying at some point, maybe in a few years, they might the whole devolution and the whole county idea, the whole devolution might be choked out by the executive, such that, like you're saying, if everything reverts back to the executive when it comes to counties, if it does revert back, we are definitely going back to MO1 days, where
Absolutely.
it's like you now really have to dance.
Okay. Yeah. And
That is the issue.
yeah, and I think, and of course this is a new constitution. It's sometimes hard to anticipate stuff. I think there was an assumption that every unit in the new arrangement will be eager to follow the law and do what they're supposed to do. But of course this clearly did not happen, because I think one of the loopholes that was being used to give counties less money was on using in fact, even what they were determining, what is this 15% of? 15% of the last audited accounts.
Yes.
So if the accounts have not been audited for the last 3 years,
They go back
so
to
we
whatever.
go back to 2021 when the budget was smaller. So we're going to use 15% of that. So it's certain loopholes that are being used. But Joe, there's the governors, the Council of Governors, I think, have gone to court multiple times
Yes.
for this. But this problem still seems to be persisting.
It's getting worse because you can't understand why, for instance, and again to use the example of health,
Yeah.
where you would have at the entry level healthcare services of what we call community health workers. Right.
That's the term I was looking for.
Community health workers. These are people who don't have a salary. They have a stipend, right? I think they're paid 2,000 or 3,000. I don't know how much it is.
Yeah.
Why would you call those people to national level to launch a service countrywide of community health workers and say, okay, this is our initiative. Go forth. We have, I think they have medical kits or whatever it is. And the national government launches that to be paid by them to go to the villages and do community health service. It's mind-boggling why you'd want to do that.
But that would have to be done by the county.
It's supposed
It's supposed to be done by the county.
Yes, but recently we had that initiative launched at national level. I think it was done at the deputy president's residence even, right? Take roads, for instance. I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
In roads, we have about 3 bodies that take care of roads. We have KENHA, KURA, and KERA. So KURA is Kenya Urban Roads Authority, and we have another authority called Kenya Rural Roads Authority, right? Urban roads and rural roads.
Yeah.
Those are national government authorities. Now, village roads, let me call them village roads or rural roads, are supposed to be done by the county. But you have an association or an authority
Yeah.
at national level with its budget for doing rural roads. So you wonder then, why is the governor doing a budget? Because we do a budget for rural roads. Why can't they just take all the roads and do them? Why do we have a split level? And where does one road start and where does the other start? So we try to push these issues and said if we had a devolution conference, I think it was last year,
Yeah.
and we were promised by the government that we'll have all functions that are supposed to be devolved and resources to follow. And the Council of Governors, as you are alluding to, were, I think the figure they agreed to was 380 billion. That's what goes to counties. Had pitched for about 410 or something around that figure. Till today, we are still operating with the old figure of 380 or 85 billion or whatever it is. Nothing has changed, but functions are bloating within the national within the county government. And to make matters worse, even that money does not come in time. Like now, most counties are operating on 2-year deficit, but we haven't received money in the last 2 months. Or rather, our last money is we're in March now. I think the last money came in January.
So that's why, we get reports of county employees sometimes going without salaries.
Of course.
For 3 months. Does that include members of county assembly?
So we have our budget. So we do our own budget in assembly. We have a split budget.
So where does your money come from? Because if county employees are not getting paid but the politicians are getting paid.
So we said the politicians. So we have a budget that comes to so the assembly salaries and allowances still come from the national government.
Okay.
It goes. So what happens is we go to the governor and tell them, okay, fine, money is late. At least pay this one thing as we wait for the other monies to come. So
All right.
it's never a case that we
So that one thing is your salo. I'm just
Okay,
asking for
so-
friends.
So that one never
allowances.
gets delayed. Those allowances.
No, they get delayed every time.
Okay.
Sometimes 2 months.
Okay.